Am I unmuted? Welcome into the Toyota Lounge. It might be a loser's lounge, but at least you get to go home in a comfortable Toyota when you shop at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships. This is the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365. That was not a fun game. Hard to put lipstick on this pig, buddy. It was an ugly one, and the Avs really did not play very well top to bottom in this game. And there's plenty of excuses. We'll get into some of those, but also as a franchise, I think they should expect better, even in a SEGABABA, even in a whatever you want to call it. They're better than that.
They're better than that, and here's my take on it. Early in the game, they didn't have a lot of jump, obviously. I mean, they played one of their worst periods of the season.
First period was truly awful.
It was just not good. Their puck management wasn't smart. Their decision-making wasn't smart, and their gas wasn't smart. I mean, it just wasn't there. It was non-existent.
It was empty tank, for sure.
Empty tank. So it was like you were kind of hoping for an easy one. You're kind of hoping that things went your way. It just didn't go their way because it went on the short-handed right away. So right away there was no flow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then, you needed, not blaming the goal, I'm saying you needed an outstanding performance by your goaltender to pull you out of a mess like this when you're not playing. And you got an okay performance. You know what I mean? Yep. So it is what it is. It's no different than the rest of the group. He certainly wasn't the worst player on the ice. But the Avalanche were not up to par from start to finish, and then from A to Z and from anywhere in the lineup. It just wasn't good enough, and they really, I mean, even the end was just brutal. It was, it just was ugly. You and me were looking at each other like, what is this?
It was bad. I said it at the start of the third period in the watch-along. Yeah, the Avs are only one goal away, but expectations were low, given what they looked like in this game. And I want to start with what you said at the beginning there.
Yep.
If you are trying to draw up the fastest way to kill your legs as a hockey team, take 2 penalties in the first 7 minutes of the game.
It just...
It may be the worst thing you can do in a SEGABABA for your energy levels.
And that's a great point you're saying, because I'll tell you what the guys are saying right before going on the ice for the game, right? On a back-to-back. It's like, hey, everybody get involved right away. Everybody get a hit, take a hit. Everybody get your legs from underneath you. When you take a couple penalties like this, you just don't. Yeah. Because all of a sudden you're just going right to your PK guys, and then there's no flow. And then some guys don't PK, and some guys haven't gotten out there 5-on-5. So next thing you know, you're not really getting your legs from underneath you, like they were saying in the locker room, and take a hit and get a hit. So next thing you know, you're sitting there, and it just kind of creeps up into your leg and in your thoughts, and you're like, oof, I got to get out there. You know what I mean? I got to make something happen. I just got to feel good. And if the puck doesn't go your way, like it didn't go the Avs' way, right? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, you're chasing the game. And it felt like they were chasing the game since the start, drop of the puck till the end.
Yeah, then this game was tied at 0-0, and then it was tied for 1 minute and 2 seconds at any other score than that. They genuinely were chasing the entire game. It just was what it was.
Shift after goal, both teams, you know what I mean? And then it was just like, it just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And the puck management wasn't smart enough. And again, you never want to use it as an excuse to back to, but you clearly could see that there was not a lot in the tank for a lot of guys.
For sure. Actually, it was less than 1 minute and 2 seconds. It was only 48 seconds.
Oh, there you go.
When it was tied. And look, I can forgive the Avs running out of gas in this game, especially when you're trailing and your top players played 25 minutes tonight. They played 25 minutes last night. You're talking about 50 minutes of hockey in 28 hours. That's a lot. The running out of legs is not my problem with this game.
No.
It's just about everything else.
Yeah, and I do believe that the road trip hit them tonight. It didn't hit them last game. It hit them tonight. It clearly, again, I'm not sure what that means for Wednesday, which I can't back away from my comments that 3 and 4 is tougher than back-to-back, but it certainly didn't really affect Chicago tonight. I mean, they looked like they found a little bit of, I mean, they didn't play the best game in the world, but they had a little more gas than
in the first period, at least.
I mean, at least they dictated the play in the first period, which kind of, they never really looked back, like you said.
More than dictated. At 5-on-5, the Avs got dominated in that first
in the
period.
first, yeah.
Chicago was doing whatever they wanted, and the Avs couldn't string 2 passes together. It was, you cannot start a game where you know you're going to run out of gas that way. You just can't. You will not win that way almost ever. Honestly, if we're being honest, the Avs were lucky that they were only down 1 for the majority of this game. And first period, by the way it was played, the Avs probably should have been down 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think their goaltender was that busy, but, then what was the score after the first?
3-2.
3-2, yeah. Man. Anyway, I mean, I don't even know what to answer about that part, but
I know. This is what I would say, because if we don't talk about it, everyone will freak out. So we have to talk about the goalies a little bit.
Sure.
Was Georgiev good tonight? No. Just like the rest of the team, he was bad. Was he absolutely horrible? No. He made some saves to keep the Avs in this game at 3-2. At times when Chicago was trying to put this game away, he kept the Avs in it. But also, he gives up a clean goal at a guy shooting above the circles. And yeah, I know it's a power play. With where Georgiev's game is at, I don't care what's happening in front of him. An 875 is his 6th straight game, sub 900. Is tonight's loss his fault? No. But still, you got another sub 900.
Well, it's not your fault that they won either, because they didn't win. Right?
That's
I'm
true.
just saying, it goes both ways. So, not his fault they lost, but considering the way he's played this year, it's not like he came out there and really took charge of the net and said, I'm going to be outstanding tonight, and I was outstanding, and I wasn't going to be beaten, and I'm going to give my team a victory. It was an okay performance. I mean, like a January 14th night where, you know what I mean? Like, it was just,
Yeah.
It was just one of those, again, it's always the 3-on-11, 3-on-12. I mean, I understand it's bad. He's the only bad luck goaltender in the history of the National Hockey League. So, but it's the same thing. It's 3 shots on it's 3 goals on 12 shots, and it just keeps happening all the time. And it's hard. It's hard to win games when pucks are going. So it's any team.
It's just tough to watch. Look, you can find an excuse on every goal.
Sure.
You can find an excuse on every game. First goal, yeah, it's the power play. Second goal, yeah, that's technically a deflected puck, but he's sitting there with his 5-hole open and it just trickles through. When you give a guy the excuse as often as Georgiev has needed it, you just can't continue to give it to him, is what I should say. He's had enough excuses. And I know Annunen didn't play the best game the other night, but you're looking at one guy has just objectively played better.
Well, he didn't play the best game the other night, but he certainly played a great first half to make sure that his team was up by a couple goals. And then, there's a couple nothing burger goals at the end that really had no effect on the game. Again, 5-3 game. All of a sudden they score with, 5 seconds to go make it a 5. I mean, for me, it is what it is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he gave his team a chance to win. I'm not going to say that about the other guy.
I'm not necessarily nitpicking a slow start here because, again, the Avs' first period was truly, truly awful.
It was awful. They played bad. The team played bad.
They had 2 shots on goal in the first period at 5-on-5. 2.
Top guys. I mean, everybody's falling. Everybody's losing the puck.
Out high danger chance 10-1 in that first period.
It just wasn't good. And, there's nights like that. There's nights that, it's, again, we're so lucky here in Denver with the Avalanche because it's rare you see those types of games, you know what I mean, where you don't have a lot of energy, but you also combine that with the flow of the game is not going your way, and then you combine that with not very good puck management. It's a recipe for disaster, right? Which is what you saw tonight. It was, again, you're going to say, disaster is a big word, No, I don't think so. I mean, to me, the Avalanche are so much better. I don't care who they're missing. And I don't care who they kept missing with Colton not playing the third and stuff like that. At the end of the day, they have enough weapons in there to go out and win that game. It just was one of those nothing burger games where you don't feel good, you didn't play good, and you certainly didn't look good.
If you take this game out of context and look at it by itself, I really do think it's a pretty easy game to go, yeah, they were horrible. They won't usually play like that, throw it away.
True.
But when you put that game into the context of, well, you lose this game and now you're back to 500. You're only 5-5. That hole you made for yourself at the start of the season, you can't afford to have very many games like this, even if it is a back-to-back.
And it's another, home loss, right? I mean, that's what I'm getting to be like, come on. You know what I mean? You got to have a better record at home. You got to be more
2-4
dangerous. 2-4 at home's not good. It's not good. Like, that is not championship caliber, small sample. I understand that. I know there's 30-some games left. I get that. But we're talking about the first 6 at home. We can only talk about what they've played. You can't talk about the 40. They haven't played 40 at home yet. Yeah. They've played 6. And this is why we're sitting here on the couch. We're talking about the first 6 have not been good enough. From top to bottom, from goaltending to, to special teams to, to figure out how to start a game, which they didn't start the right way. And again, that's just not the right way to do it. Like you said, it's a recipe for disaster when you take 2 penalties in the first 7 minutes. And then you give the other team some legs. You give the other team some confidence. And next thing you know, they feel good about their game, and then you're chasing it.
And it's never just one mistake, right? It's a poor start to the game, and the Avs nearly get away with it. Ultimately, that goal goes in on the second power play you give Chicago, but you get that goal back. And credit to the Avs, not having a good period, they still found a way to make at least one effective play in the period at 5-on-5. Casey Mittelstadt, once again, I really don't think he had that good of a game on the whole tonight, but is able to find a way to produce. Is able to find a goal for the Avs. You get it back to tied, and what you would hope would be a reset button to this game, get it to 1-1, is immediately erased.
And
you can't. Your back will break when you keep giving it back.
In the last game, they had a little bit of puck luck. Just think of Josh's goal, right? That back end.
Yeah, for sure.
Where tonight, Makar's got it in the slot there. He hits Mrazek's glove and goes up and
doesn't go in.
Almost twice, right? The same play. Yeah. So they didn't have a lot of puck luck there, and I do believe you create your own puck luck when you do the right things. And the Avalanche, more often than not, didn't really do the right things. They just made the game a little bit more complicated than it should have been. Again, I'll go back to, it's one thing not to have gas. I get that. I get it.
Some nights you don't have it.
You just don't have it. But when you don't have it, you got to keep it super, 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 super simple.
Yep.
And too many times tonight, they got in the and then they try to make that seam pass, and it's like, it's not there. Just keep going north-south, right? You know what I mean? Just keep going. Direct line. You don't need to go across. It's not there. And then they just didn't have enough gas after that to retrieve pucks or, get a little bit of sustained pressure to make. They had a couple sustained shifts where they had the pressure, but they didn't just make it count. And then all of a sudden a bad play happened and then the puck was out of the zone. So they didn't make Chicago pay for their little mistakes, because they weren't very smart with the puck management on this game.
You trailed for the majority of this game.
Yeah.
Colorado had 6 high danger chances at 5-on-5 the entire game. Just 6. He didn't generate enough.
Wasn't in sync.
I don't care about, they ran out of legs. I don't care about, they're tired. They have injuries. You didn't generate enough. You need to be able to generate more offense than that. And that starts with your best players. We'll get into it in a minute. I don't want to jump into it just yet, but you did not get enough out of your best players at 5-on-5 in this hockey game. You didn't even get close to enough out of them to be honest, they were probably your worst players tonight.
I agree.
You can't win like that. And forget SEGABABA. You can't win any games. When your best players are your worst players, you will almost never win. especially in the NHL.
And it just feels so wrong to say that because those guys are so good.
Yeah,
but like you just said,
they're going to show up on Wednesday and they're all going to have 3-point nights, and it's going to be great. But tonight they were awful.
That's what I'm saying. It's funny because, but when you have an off night, then that's where it's so nice to get a secondary guy. What I mean by that, like a Parker Kelly or Miles Wood or somebody to come up with some sort of play. You know what I mean? When those guys, you're going to say, one's got a goal, the other one keeps the streak alive. You know what I mean?
But they found their way to a point.
But like you said, it was 5-on-3. But it's other than that, at 5-on-5, they just weren't there, and they weren't on top of their game. And that's when I'm telling you, I've been there, and I know they feel it. Where the secondary guys, when I say secondary, you know what I mean. The really the lower tier guys, you feel bad that you let those top end guys down because too many times they bail you out, and then you feel that sometimes it's your turn. You know what I mean? And same with goes with goaltending, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's my turn to bail those guys out. They bailed me out so many times.
Nobody bailed anybody.
But not tonight from goaltending on. Like there was nobody bailing anybody out, and that's the score you saw, and it was not. And I understand the 2 empty netters at the end, but it didn't feel like, oh, it's coming. It's not like you and I and Tiff were like, oh my God, it's coming, it's gonna happen here. No, it just wasn't happening.
The vibe in that third period was, well, the Avs probably aren't gonna win, but maybe they get a lucky bounce. Maybe one play gets them a tie into this game.
I think we could have made the show an hour ago and then just recorded it.
Probably would have been pretty similar.
You know what I mean?
What we do have to do, though, is don't be like the Avs. Don't be low on energy. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Go get yourself part of the Ready, Set, Co program with UC Health. They've got Coach Prime as the motivational officer for the thing, and the whole point of the UC Health Ready, Set, Co program is to get Colorado back to being the healthiest state in the country. They just want you to be healthy, whatever that is for you, whether it's maybe losing weight like me, maybe it's sleeping better like I probably need. maybe it's taking care of your mental health too. After a game like this, I bet the Avs, a couple of them will be seeing their sports therapists. So go make sure you're taking care of yourself with UC Health and Coach Prime. Go become part of the UC Health Ready, Set, Co challenge today at uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Co, or click the link down in the description. And once you've decided to make yourself healthier, maybe you want to go for things like hikes. Maybe you want to get out in Colorado. Go see the leaves before they all fall off. That's where Toyota comes in. Toyota can get you where you're going. Go get yourself a Toyota today. 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles. They have you covered for everything. And 16 different hybrids for that good mileage so you can get around the city without running on an empty tank like the Avs kind of did tonight. Let's be honest. Don't do that. Go to your local Front Range Toyota dealerships. Get into the official vehicle of DNVR and the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, you can find yourself a Toyota at any of your local Front Range dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and DNVR is Toyota. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, but we're sticking to the first period for the most part. I do want to put a little bit of positive light. I think there are very few players that you could say had a good game for Colorado in this one. The one player I think I feel confident in saying brought quality hockey tonight, Sam Malinsky.
Agree.
Had a good night. Picked up a point on that first goal with Mittelstadt. Had multiple good individual plays trying to help this team create a little bit of offense. Was not afraid to shoot the puck. Had one of very, very few players that had good possession metrics tonight. If you're looking for something to like, it was Sam Malinsky's game.
He was engaged. I mean, he kept plays alive with the far blue there.
Yep.
Even like throwing some hip checks. You're right. I thought he was. Hey, listen, he's been really good. He's been good pretty much all season long. He's been good all training camp. Sometimes I catch myself again. I'm going to say something right here, so hold it. Mm-hmm. Hold it. Slow down. I catch myself sometimes thinking, is that Cale? Oh, no, it's Sam. You know what I mean? Because there's a little bit of the shimmy in there. There's a little bit of I'm not going to put that pressure on Sam because Cale is the best player on the planet. But there is very sometimes some similarities, the way they enter the zone and the way they move their bodies and their hands on their sticks. So Sam Malinski's been playing well. He was great tonight again. I thought that was a great shift there on that goal there by Mitzi.
Yep.
But that was Avalanche hockey. Unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of rushes like that or plays like that.
Yeah. There was not enough of it tonight,
No.
but I did want to stop and give some credit to Malinsky for
Well
being
said.
one of the guys trying to tug in the right direction on the rope tonight.
Well said.
Getting back to the Av Stars, all of them are underwater at 5-on-5. Argue the worst possession player in the game, no argument, Cale McCarr. He was your worst possession player on the ice. The lineup, McKinnon, Rantanen, and McCarr, all end up -4. I know the two of those are empty netters.
Yeah.
They're still -2 on the night. They score 0 goals for you at 5-on-5, get scored on twice.
Again, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I felt after last night that the minutes were kept low. I felt it was the perfect game last night, that nobody got overtaxed, and I was like, oh, it's going to pay off tomorrow, which is tonight. It just certainly didn't end up playing that way. It just felt that they were out of it from the get-go. They felt like they were just a little lackadaisical.
And this conversation wraps back around to the problem of falling behind and chasing this game. Matt Steinberg, 3 minutes and 14 seconds tonight.
I know.
That's all that he played. 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Chris Wagner barely broke 5 minutes. Ivan played a little bit more because they had to play him more because Ross Colton got hurt, so they had to put somebody up in the lineup.
Well, unfortunately, like I said to you, when you lose a guy like Colton, you would think people are going to think, oh, my God. More often than none, what happens is you end up shortening your bench even more. So guys like Steinberg and Wagner's are the one that really paid the price for Ross Colton going down. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself right, but again, you would think you're down a forward, therefore they're going to play more. It's actually the opposite. In fact, when you're chasing the game, when you're behind in the game, then you're going to shorten your bench even more and more, and that's what Coach Bednar did. That's what I would have done. So I'm not second-guessing. It just stinks for...
You just had to do it.
You just stinks that you're just sitting there on the bench and there's not much you can do.
And with the Avs injury situation, they don't have a choice.
There was no other way to do it tonight.
Their options are just limited.
There was no other way to do it except the way they did it.
Unfortunately, your best players didn't have enough in the tank.
That's it.
I do want to talk a little bit more about the McKinnon goal, but before we do have Cale McCarr's audio. He's pretty honest about how bad he was a couple of losses ago, if you can remember that far back. Let's see what he had to say tonight.
Process a loss so quickly, but what are your initial thoughts on this one?
Just have to be better defensively. Wasn't good enough defensively, and then just we're trying to be too cute with it tonight. A lot of perimeter play in the O-zone, not getting a lot of shots to the net. So we started to figure it out in the third a little bit, but we just got to figure that out quicker.
What's the key to that for you guys, being able to identify that a little bit quicker and get the page turned on it?
I think it's just getting guys to the net. For us, especially as D, I think it's more just D1 shooting rather than passing a D to D. If we get guys at the net, we got to reward them. And I think tonight, like I said, it was just a lot of perimeter play, not generating a lot of high opportunity scoring chances. So, yeah.
What were some of the challenges with creating tonight?
Again, I think it's just guys. We had a lot of possession tonight. Just no internal play. Everything that we had was along the boards. Kind of rolling around the top, around the board. So some nights it goes like that. We just got to find a way to get it to the net. It starts with us on the back end, making sure that we can get pucks through.
Cale, it felt like there was the energy was a little low on the ice tonight. Did you guys, is that kind of the back-to-back coming out a little bit?
Yeah. For first back-to-back of the season, we're going to have a lot more of these, so we got to be prepared. We've traditionally, I feel like, been a pretty good team in the second half of back-to-back. So, again, for us tonight, it's just making sure that the energy's high at the beginning, feeding off that. But I thought we were there at times. We just have to make sure that we start to generate more in the zone.
How did the challenges of Ross Colton leaving the game and requiring top guys to absorb more minutes on top of maybe fatigue that was setting in make things more challenging?
Yeah, it's tough. You lose another guy like that, so all the lines are jumbled. So it's just it's kind of tough for the forwards to get that flow, and that's not an excuse or anything like that. But obviously, to have another guy of that caliber go down again is tough. So hopefully he's okay, and yeah.
With what you've done the last 5 games, how can you ensure that this doesn't affect momentum going into the Tampa game?
I think we just got to watch this one, to be honest with you. Learn from a couple things. Again, I think you just touched on, like, the energy might just not have been quite there. Maybe that's why we were more perimeter and not as physical, getting to the net and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Thanks.
So, look, Cale said it best. They know. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. They look back at that game and they realize what went wrong. They understand they were being too cute with the puck at times. They understand that certainly in that first period, they played too fast and loose.
And sometimes when you're tired, again, I'll use his lines, the best player on the planet's lines. It's not an excuse. He said, when he was talking about Ross Colton, it was tough on the forwards. But when you're out there, you have the best of intentions, and sometimes when your brain's fried, like it just doesn't translate. You know what I mean? You just make mistakes, and it's not like you're like, I knew I should have got that deep, and I didn't. I tried something else because, like I said, you're not sharp. You're just tired. You know what I mean? And I think that the guys were tired. Some guys have been taxed a little bit. Obviously, the first 10 games or so, whatever. No, not or so. It is 10 games, 5-5 after 10.
Yep.
Back to 500. But I think, like Cale said, they weren't very smart, and they know that. My point is even though you do know that doesn't make it okay, but at least you know what went wrong.
You're not sitting there shaking your head going, I don't know what to do.
That doesn't make it better, but it's like you exactly knew what you did.
Yeah, I want to expand on that tired factor a little bit with you, Eric, because the Avs were bad, sure.
Yeah.
But part of that conversation is the Avs really struggled to play as a team effectively tonight.
Yeah.
Part of that is execution. You're just making bad passes and things aren't quite clicking. How much of that stems from a tired hockey team? Is that, guys aren't in the spots they're supposed to be, guys aren't quite finding the right plays, or is this just, are those two separate issues, or are they connected?
No, I think it is connected, meaning that you're making those wrong decisions because you are tired.
Okay.
They're not allowed to make excuses. They're professionals. You never go into a game making excuses. You never go after a game making excuses, but we can. It's a fact. It's a fact. They had a long road trip. They got home. They had that day off. Then they had that practice. They felt decent, I felt, last game. You know what I mean? I thought they played pretty. Hey, listen, they played pretty good hockey. You know what I mean? Now, tonight, I wouldn't be fair to say that they actually played a good hocky game. They didn't.
No,
they
there's
didn't
no
play
world
good
where
hockey.
this can be called
so
a good
you
hockey
can't
game.
sugarcoat this. You just said lipstick on a pig. It was a bad game. My analysis is they weren't smart. They weren't. Their puck management, they didn't make the right decisions. They didn't have a lot of drive. We talked about the junkyard dog mentality. They certainly didn't have that from the bottom of the lineup. Top of the lineup wasn't very sharp. We are harsh on those guys because they are the best. But we're the first ones to say that the core is at the top of the National Hockey League. But when they have a bad night, they have a bad night. You got to call it like it is. And they didn't have a good night. But I do believe, and again, it's not about making an excuse. That is a schedule loss where, you know what I mean? Like,
It is.
Things had to go your way. They didn't. And you didn't help with things to go your way because you took penalties right off the bat. You went down sideways.
I'm
you didn't
not here for that excuse.
Well, no, but I'm saying.
I know you're not either.
No, I'm not. I'm saying, but it didn't go their way, because of their fault.
Yeah,
But it didn't go
by
their
their own
way.
creation.
By
for
your
sure.
own creation, well said. And then you didn't. Again, you gotta call. God, you gotta call. They didn't get the saves they needed. They gave up 3 on 12 shots. So you're not getting saves there. I'm not blaming the goalie, but I'm saying if you add all that, you compound all that together, you fall behind. You're chasing the game. You're not in a good position to chase the game because your energy wasn't there.
You didn't outwork them. You didn't outskate them. You didn't outskill them. You didn't out goaltend them. You didn't outluck them. What else is left? They were better than you in every facet of the game.
They had more cheers from their crowd. That's it. That doesn't count.
I don't know. There were a lot of Blackhawks jersey in that
true.
building.
Yeah, sorry.
So I don't even know if they got that
All right,
one.
fair enough.
It was a bit of a tough night in
Yeah,
that
but if
regard.
like you said, like it was hard to find underlying good things. you found Malinsky, which I thought was awesome of you to come up with that, because you're right. You could have got lost in that, And again, if you go see Sam Malinsky and you go, hey, dude, good game, he's going to be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
He doesn't
It's about
care.
the team.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about the team winning. But you were fair there. I think that was a very fair point. To say I'd like to find another one like that, it would be hard pressed to find another one.
There's not. I couldn't. I was struggling to come up with a second
I know.
guy. I was.
I test, numbers test, overall test. Like,
What
it's
I
hard to
didn't
see.
struggle with is a way to chill after that bad game, and that is an ice cold Blue Mountain Coors Light. The bottle turns blue with the mountain. So does the can. If you go get a can, you can go get yourself some at your local liquor store, or you can get Coors Light delivered right to your front door with CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Go jump on it today and choose chill with Coors Light. Look, I drink them during the watch-alongs. When they win, I want to chillax and enjoy. When they lose, I want to chillax and be less angry. Whatever it is. When I'm chilling, I'm grabbing myself a Coors Light. So again, go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR, and thanks to Instacart, you can get it delivered right to your front door. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. And once you've had your Coors, maybe it's time to make a couple of bets once you're loosened up and feeling good with the Coors Lights. Our bets didn't really come through tonight because the Avs looked bad, but maybe this is a lesson. When you're on a SEGABABA, maybe bet against the team on a SEGABABA. That might be the answer at Bet365. So download Bet365 today with the QR code on screen and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. You'll get a $200 in bonus bets when you put $10 in and bet $5 on anything. And even cooler than that, with the $200, you'll also get 2 months free of Altitude Plus when you sign up. So be sure to use that DNVR365 code when you get in with Bet365. And of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We have our man in the arena, Gismo, ready to go. Giz, was that game as tough to watch in person as it was for us at home?
Yeah, I mean that's tough sledding, right? You barely get away with one yesterday. You kind of fall apart at the very end, and then you hope maybe that's a wake-up call. And they had a little bit more hunger yesterday, a little bit more drive, and that just wasn't there at all today. You kind of fall behind the ball a little bit in the first period there. And listen, I agree with what he said. I don't blame those goals fully on Georgiev, but I think unfortunately what has happened here over 10 games is that you've got a tale of two very different halves, right? You start the season off 0-4. Obviously, you weren't getting necessarily the goaltending that you really wanted. Then you put the other guy in, and Eustace comes in. He plays great, puts you on a winning streak, gets you to 500. You're looking good. You're surpassing that. And then tonight, you can't help but have that sense of, oh boy, what's going to happen? And right away on just a few shots, you're already behind the 8 ball. And then you hustle and you pick it back up and you get it back to even. And then boom, you get punched in the mouth again. So I unfortunately think the tone was set in the first 5 minutes of this hockey game. And it was just tough to recover from there. Despite moments of brilliance, that goal by MacKinnon was absolutely electric. Mitzi has been playing just phenomenal, but I feel like it's one step forward, unfortunately, 2 steps back just when they start to get going. I mean, Ross Colton has been incredible for these guys, and then he suffers this injury, and it's just kind of like, man, we just catch a little bit of a break.
For me too. In the grand scheme, Avs didn't play very well. They lost the game. Okay, whatever. It's one game.
Truth.
Yeah.
The Colton thing is, again, we don't know the result of the injury yet, but potentially impactful weeks into the future as opposed to one bad game. Is there hope on the injury side at all? Can we at least expect someone to get back into this lineup for the Avs, or are we just going to live the injured forever life?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like it's live the injured forever life right now. I think Lehkonen is very close. I think we'll have resolution on whatever Nichushkin's situation is, despite that not being an injury, very soon, or at least a little bit more clarity on it. Sounds like Drouin is also close, and it's just about sort of managing it and figuring out what the player can manage in that regard. But I would not expect to see Colton anytime soon. They'll have a clearer picture on that tomorrow. But it's a bummer. It really is, because you see the pieces there and you see the group really fighting to sort of hang on and battle through it and overcome it. But again, I keep going back to this. I think we put athletes up on a pedestal and we don't factor in the human side. When you keep getting knocked down like this right when you get back up, it's demoralizing. And I'm glad it's happening right now. I think that they're hanging in there good enough that it's not going to derail a season. But certainly this is something that I always try to find the positives when I'm in my own life, in people's lives who I'm in. And, whenever I coached hockey, I was never a negative guy. I was always look at the positive, look at the positive. The positives for me, yeah, you're having a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of things that aren't going right. There's a lot of injuries, but you're finding ways to stay in it, right? You're a 500 hockey team, right? So you're in a spot where you could be in a lot more trouble than you are, and you start to get guys back, and the karma starts to come your way, and the good luck starts to come your way. Well, now all of a sudden you look back on this and you're like, yo, remember when it was tough sledding? We found a way to dig down. We found a way to figure it out. Let's use that. Let's go forward here now that we got a full complement.
And I think that's a good point, not just for the full season, but you can apply it to this game too. Yeah, there were long stretches of this game where the Avs were not playing good hockey, and they spent the majority of it within one good bounce, one good break, one better play, and the Avs could have found a way
save,
back in.
One good something, yeah.
Yep, and they didn't get it, obviously, and that's disappointing, but it's a team where if this is what bad looks like, they'll be fine.
That's the point. Yeah, there's no need to press the panic button here. And he has been in these situations as a player. I know he's been in these situations in management. Heck, I know he's been in these situations on the bench with me coaching youth hockey. And it's like listen, this is not dire. This is not, oh, woe is me. That's not how they're looking at it in the locker room. I think it's more of frustration than down on themselves. They have the pieces. They will be getting more pieces back. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So, survive. And they're surviving right now. A day off tomorrow is probably just what they need. They're going to have to come back reinvigorated and ready to go against a very good Tampa Bay team here on Wednesday before they hit the road again. And if they can dig down and do that, I think you're going to be okay. And I expect a better performance on Wednesday. Annunen will I would say, certainly be back in the net. Kaapo Kähkönen was in the building today. No determination from Coach Bednar per his press conference afterwards on when they're going to give him the start. That's an internal conversation that the staff will have tomorrow and make a determination on. Maybe Wednesday. I would expect Eustace to probably get the nod again. And listen, it is what it is. They play more confident currently in front of Eustace, but you couldn't go with him tonight. I completely understand that. I was the one guy hoping that, Georgiev really stepped it up and had himself a game tonight. And, he ran into a couple bad luck situations too. Some real bad bounces too in that first period.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm not going there, but he called you the man in the arena. For me, that's Tom Brady, right? Isn't it?
Tom and I are very, Eric, Tom and I are very similar.
Look the same.
Let's look at it, right?
Giselle,
right?
Whatever.
Okay,
Rings, whatever.
Yeah, I do some modeling.
Yeah,
I mean,
but wasn't he the Netflix or Man in the Arena or ESPN?
It's probably
or whatever?
ESPN.
ESPN,
I think, yeah.
Anyway, Man in the Arena. Maybe. That's my question. I like to ask you because I always say it's a different version from guys on the bench to guys watching on TV to guys in the press box. Rudo and I and Tiff were really discouraged here. I'm not going to lie to you after the first period in the sense that we're like, oh, my God. What was it like in the arena as the man in the arena? Did it feel like it got deflated again? Like, here we go again, 3 on 11, 3 on 12?
Crowd was out of it after, the third goal.
Yeah.
Crowd was out of it after the third goal. You could kind of feel it. There was a healthy amount of Blackhawks fans in here tonight as well. I think the crowd felt a little bit down on this one. I do.
Yeah.
You can feel it. You can feel the ebb and flow of it. It just had a lackluster feel from the product on the ice to, the way it felt just in general. And that's tough, right? That's hard. That's tough. And I think guys feel that. The vibes are there. They're cognizant of that sort of thing. So, yeah, it just wasn't a good one. I mean, it was a very sleepy, you felt like you were in high school again, and it's the math teacher, right? And it's like third period just after lunch, and you're like, well,
English for me, Giz. English
you got
for me.
the head nods. I loved English. I was terrible at math. English, I was good at. I loved English, actually. But yeah, I mean, situations like that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the vibe was not there on any respect tonight.
Silver linings here. Cale Makar, 10-game point streak. So you got that going for you. You have a handful of players that at least held their own at 5-on-5. Beyond that, not a ton.
Nathan MacKinnon, 10-game point streak. Nathan MacKinnon, 800 games. Not 800 games. I messed out. Stat up. Tired here as well. But lots of positives. Lots of positives across the board, I think. And I know people are probably rolling their eyes at me. I try to take the high road. It's like he said earlier, scheduled loss. Though you look at a team like Chicago and you wanted to get one there.
For sure. I think that's a fair way to put it. Final thoughts, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, just shake it off. Short memory. Be a goldfish. It is what it is. Bednar seemed upbeat. You guys heard from Locke. He seems also upbeat. It's not like they don't know what's happening. I think it would be more disparaging if you had guys just shaking their heads and dropping their heads in their hands and, woe is me. They're not that way. They're upbeat. Even Cale Makar, upset about a loss, but identifying the issues and then being able to step up, right? And I think that's important. I think the fact that they recognize where the shortcomings are makes it fixable. I mean, when you were in these situations, was it the same way? Were there moments when you could feel everybody down on themselves, and were there moments when okay, we know what we did, we can fix that?
Oh, these guys know they're fine. Again,
yeah,
3 of the top 10 players in the world. I know they're fine. They know they're fine.
They know,
they know when they have nothing. I mean, he alluded to it, Makar. He didn't want to use it as an excuse. He made sure to say it's not an excuse. But somewhere, somehow, like, you can tell you're watching a guy play. You can tell he has no gas. You can tell his decision-making's not there because he is tired. It's just sloppy. Or like Bruno would say, squirrely. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't good. I think they'll be more than fine. Get a day off tomorrow. But, get ready for, like you said, a tough opponent Wednesday, and you're gassing. The tank of gas is not going to be full. It's not. I don't want people to have false expectations. If the gas tank tonight was on empty, it's going to be at half full the most. I mean, so you got to manage the game well early in the game because you don't want to waste all your gas. You want to make sure you're smart. You're going through the desert, and you don't run out of gas. You just play the game the right way.
Yeah,
so wise, E. So wise.
I've ran out of gas in the desert. That's why I'm saying that. When my wife was pregnant too, it was really fun. She was really happy.
That sounds
with
like
me.
a great time.
Yeah, she was
Sounds
actually
like
sleeping.
She was not happy with you, buddy.
Hey, and she was sleeping, and you drive, and you just like know when she wakes up, it's just gonna go, and it's exactly like in the movies.
I feel
right
like
in the
you're
middle of the
Chevy
desert.
Chase in this in National Lampoons. You
It was the
car,
same.
You give Rusty his first beer.
Knew for like 45 minutes too. I'm like, oh God,
we're not gonna make it.
No, not gonna make it. Nothing you can do, and I'm not waking her up because it's 45 less minutes of getting yelled at. So just take it.
Well, that's
save your gas.
That's another story for our story tales, buddy. Giz, we're going to let you go. We appreciate you jumping on again. Obviously, Giz doing all the hard work for us, being in the arena for games like this, talking to Bednar after bad losses. Go follow him, Nick Gismondi on Twitter. Thank you again, Giz.
Hey, thanks, guys. I will talk to you on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll see you there. All right. On that note, this game I would not qualify as particularly sexy. So instead, make sure you go get yourself some sexy pizza.
All right.
Sexy Pizza back with us here at DNVR. We had tons of it at the tailgate the other day. If you were there for the Broncos, they're more than your average by the slice eatery. They're dedicated to top quality eats with civic and community interaction. They have fundraisers days throughout the year. They help donate 15% of their total net sales from one of their locations to the highlighted group for that specific date. They've supported a ton of teams directly, whether it comes to high schools or kids teams and things like that. So make sure you're getting with Sexy Pizza and supporting local here like us at DNVR. You can take a look at their everyday specials because they sell slices all day, every day. The base special comes with a fountain drink, but can be upgraded to a beer or wine at the locations that serve alcohol. Sexy Pizza, serving sustainability, community, and hand-tossed pizzas here in Colorado. And once you got a Sexy Pizza in your hand, get yourself down to the DNVR bar and come have a great time at our events. We got a ton of stuff on the docket here, whether it be our watch party? Yeah, that's the right word. Watch party on November 2nd with the Avalanche of Pride. You can come hang out at the bar, have a great time for that game. We also have our takeover on November 15th. Milan Hajduk coming out for the takeover with us. You can watch a game with Hajduk. I know watching a game with me and Eric is pretty cool too, but it's a little bit cooler. Little bit cooler to watch it with Hajduk. I get it. There's a party bus to and from the bar that includes free beers. You have a great time. You get to pick our brains. It's all great with the takeover. Again, that first one is November 15th against the Washington Capitals. Come down, have a good time with us here at DNVR. Last period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, Giz alluded to it a little bit. I want to hear Jared Bednar's thoughts too. So let's see what Bedsy had to say after that loss.
Go ahead.
Coach Ross Bolton out in the third.
Yeah, he's out. He took that shot. He's going to miss some time, but we'll get a better feel on how much time that's going to be tomorrow or by Wednesday morning.
What is kind of just your overall assessment of how this game should go?
We were no good again. Second, to me, we weren't as good as last night even. So we just looked tired. Execution's bad. Mentally, not sharp. So happens. Looked like we didn't have no energy though, right from the drop of the puck.
Seemed like you guys kind of got a surge of energy there at the third. What do you carry from that on to the next game?
Yeah, probably nothing, because it was okay, but it was like just acceptable. Like they battled and grind, even in the second period to grind a little bit. It was better than the first, but it was a struggle for us. You know what I mean? So, losing Colts didn't help because it's a whole, wrecks a whole nother line that was, has been dangerous for us. So. But we're not looking at moral victories here right now. It wasn't our best game. Needed to be better, and it wasn't. It's 2 in a row, so it's. Last night though, we were way more dangerous than we were tonight on the offensive side of it. They just looked quicker and stronger and hungrier, and their execution was better.
Did seem like everything was like a step slow, but then there was also just like simple passes that weren't. Is it one or the other or both? Or?
Well, it's all of it. That's part about, when you're tired and if your mental game's not there and you're not sharp, then usually aren't making the right decisions and the execution struggles. Like second period, we had a ton of ozone time. Looked like we were starting to find it, but we were reluctant to shoot the puck, and we didn't have a bunch of dangerous scoring plays tonight.
Jared, 10th game. Do you break things up in chunks for the season when you evaluate things?
Yeah, 10 game segments for us. We look at it after 5, but 10 game segments is how we like to go, because it's a big enough sort of sample size to put the analytics together and show you what you're doing well and show you what you're not doing well. And the reality of it is it kind of helps you stay on track too, regardless of what your record is, right? Like you need 12 points every 10 games. You get 2 games at the end of the year to play with to pick up some points if you're fighting for standings. And so we finished this one 5-5. Starting 0-4, we're going a good run. Tonight would have been the one that gets you the 12 points, but we don't get there, so we're a little short. We'll have to make it up someplace else.
How do you kind of assess that, knowing that in the beginning of the year you knew it might be tough, just given all the injuries, but at the same time you played, I think, 3 playoff games in these 10 games?
Yeah, a little bit of regardless of opponent, I don't look at that. I mean, I know but for me, it was a little bit of a roller coaster, right? Not the start we wanted, not getting results, even though we're playing pretty good in a couple of those games, and we go and play really well. There's lots to like. The finish of it stings, but it is what it is. We're gonna move on.
What do you think of Georgia night after the first?
Yeah, I thought he was good. Yeah, he looked solid after the first, no question. And you can't really fault him on some of those goals. There's some bad luck, bad bounces on a few of those. Yeah.
Logan O'Connor said that you learn more from losses than you learn from wins. What are you kind of focused on with this day off before you face Tampa Bay?
Well, Tampa Bay, tough opponent, deep team. We'll have to figure out the health of our lineup, see what we're going to do. But we do the same thing regardless, wins or losses. We'll break it down and see what we see. I mean, it's pretty obvious tonight that we didn't have the jump we needed, so... yeah, we'll look at it. There's lots, though, that we can do just to make it a simpler game for us when we don't have our legs.
Mackinnon was with the Eagles over the road trip for a conditioning stint. What is his plan to return here
Yeah,
to the team?
we'll talk about that tomorrow and make a decision on what we're going to do. So I don't have a firm answer for you just yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Thanks.
So Bednar pretty blunt there. They weren't any good.
I think he's saying the same thing as we're saying, right?
The point I want to jump off on that is sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate things.
No.
Sometimes I get into the analytics as much as anyone. I love to dive into the numbers and look at this, that, and the other thing. I know people like to point fingers and blame X, Y, and Z. It was bad. It was just all bad. Move on with your life and don't overthink this. And this is absolutely a game. If the Avs go out and win against Tampa on Wednesday, nobody's going to remember this game this year. No one's going to look back and be like, oh, yeah, that was the game that the thing happened. No, it's going to be a nothing loss that is ultimately meaningless in the season as long as you keep it contained. You win the next one, it's contained.
Well, there's always, in a season, there's always days where you actually feel good because the schedule's favorable. There's always days where you feel like dog crap because the schedule is not favorable. Tonight was one of those nights. Now, if you look at it, just quickly look at it, you know that Wednesday, obviously it's a home game. You're playing an opponent that's a good team, and you're playing the back end of a 3-4, right?
Yep.
So you know you're not going to be at your best. But if you can survive that one, you get 2 days, then you get a game on the road, then you get 2 days again, I believe, then you get that game at home. So you're really looking at a favorable 5, 6, 7 days coming up after Wednesday.
If you can get there, yeah.
You got to get to Wednesday. They got the blow there on the Colton injury. I mean, he basically said it. He's out. Ross Colton's out. So he, again, stings. It sucks for him because he's having a great season. McDavid tonight, who knows what's going to happen in Edmonton. Stuff like that happens. But for the Avalanche, it just feels that it just keeps happening. Now if Arturi Lehkonen was going to be close to being ready Wednesday, then you'll probably see Lehkonen Wednesday. Again, you're not rushing things because of a one game. I understand that. But at some point, he looks itchy. He looks itchy to get back out there. He looks ready. I know, again, assuming today was his appointment, correct, or something like that. I remember
either
the
today or
exact date
tomorrow, yeah.
So, and then after that, if it's good, if it shows that it's strong, I'm assuming it's an MRI and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, pictures will dictate if everything is solidified and everything, and he's ready to go. And, so you're losing another one, you're gaining another one. I mean, it just doesn't seem to stop, but it's okay. It's okay. You still got the 3 of the top 10 best players in the National Hockey League. Did they play like 3 of the top 10? Probably not today.
And
legs weren't there. Brain wasn't there.
And I do want to be a little bit harsh on the Avs' best players.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a cool goal from McKinnon. It's a really good play. It's cool that McCarr gets an assist on that play.
Yep.
at the end of the day, that's a goal that comes when you're down 3-1 and it's a 5-on-3. Scoring there is mandatory. You don't get kudos for scoring when you're supposed to, when you're the best players in the world. You need to be better than that, and you need to help your team win games more effectively.
Yep.
When everybody's bad, who do they look to? They look to McKinnon. They look to Makar, and they didn't bail him out of this.
Fair
one.
or not, it comes with the territory.
Exactly.
And those guys love it. They want it. Go down even a step below. Go a step a little bit below. Not because we bet him. Not because we bet him. But Devon Tays was, not at his best either. That wasn't, Mr. Reliable.
Anyone besides Sam Alinsky.
That's my point. Mr. Reliable was like,
Yeah.
he wasn't. And again, no offense, we love Devon Tays. We call him a top 10 D in the National Hockey League. So that's not the point. But if you're going to string, because they did string 5 victories in a row. But on a night like tonight where you're going to be tired, that the first 10 games you said the Avalanche are going to have to stay afloat until they find what's going on towards November. We talked about with, obviously, Lehkonen, Natushkin. We alluded to it a little bit. Druin has been a big loss, But I'll say it again. We didn't really touch a lot of it today, but I'll stick to my line. If the Avalanche, the first 20 games of the season, are going to stay afloat, they're going to need goaltending. And tonight, I am not blaming the goalie. What do you want Bednar to say? He says the perfect things. There's not much to it. But if the Avalanche are going to stay afloat, good goaltending will not be enough. You're going to need superior goaltending. Call me whatever you want, every name in the book. I don't call that superior goaltending tonight. I didn't say it's his fault. I'm saying it is not superior goaltending.
Two things can be true.
He got beat by the other guy down the hall from him. That's it. It's plain, simple story.
Two things can be true. It was not the best goaltending. The Avs weren't any good.
No, they
in
weren't.
Georgiev's case, he's started 6 games this year, and he's been the worst goaltender in all 6 games. They won one of them anyway, but he faced a guy who was posted a .950 in that game, and the Avs offense was just able to overcome.
And there's always times in any team in the National Hockey League, like the team doesn't play well, but who bailed them out? Our goalie bailed us out tonight. You know what I mean? It hasn't happened. And it's going to need to happen because there will be games coming up here, guys. There will be games coming up here. You need to weather the storm for about 20 games. We're 10 games in. There's another 10 games you got to weather the storm. You're going to need some superior goaltending. You know what I mean? I think Eustace brought that. I don't want to hear about the third period. They were already up. Then perfect. If he would have surrendered 4 goals in the first period, I would tell you the same thing that I'm doing tonight. At the end of the day, he was having a good game. He was keeping his team in the game in a sense that he did what he had to do, and then they were leading 2-0. And then all of a sudden, a couple bad bounces because Georgiev's not the only bad luck goaltender in the history of the National Hockey League. It seems like that's how we always talk about that. He's the only guy that's bad luck, that has bad luck. So, but Eustace, play with the lead. And tonight, they didn't play with the lead. It just seems like when he's in the net, they're always chasing the game. And tonight was no different.
Yeah, it's hard to win games that way. I'll tell you that for sure. I don't want to overanalyze. Like I said, this game is bad. There's no two ways. Yep. You're not going to convince me that the Avs had any right to win this hockey game because they didn't. They were awful. There's no, if you made this one better play, you deserve to win. They could have. They could have won anyway, even if it was undeserving, but they didn't. They played poorly. They lost. That's the end of the story.
And Connor Bedard didn't get much.
Yeah, it's not like their stars were great either. No. The Avs were their own worst enemy as much as anything in this game. I think that's absolutely true. And I'm not saying that this is an excuse, but this is also a team now with Ross Colton out. You're missing theoretically 5 of your top 9 forwards, if you include Landeskog in that picture too.
Yeah.
This team is not exactly at peak physical condition. Put it to you that way.
Well, you saw it at the end there when you're pressing the game, and then it's what are your options?
Right. You lose Colton, and you have to put a line of McKinnon, Rantanen, and Mittelstadt together. And Parker Kelly is your 2C. I mean, there's just not a lot you can do about that.
Not Parker's fault. That's just not what he is.
It's not who he is. Yeah.
It's not what he is. So I'd be the first one to tell you. But if you're a coach, you're looking down the bench, and it's a tough feeling. And he'll tell you, no excuses, next man up mentality. It's my job to make sure we put the best things out there in order to try to go win that game. But it's pretty slim pickings. You know what I mean? And you got to hope the clock works for you in a sense that, oh, there's a TV timeout. Oh, there's a whistle. Oh, you can call a timeout. You know what I mean? And then you just keep pressing with your guys. But tonight, your guys did not have the jam.
Yep.
And they committed unforced errors there in those last 2-3 minutes. It's like when you double fault in tennis, you know what I mean? Because you're just like, ugh, because you're tired. You know what I mean? It's exactly what they were doing there. They didn't come close to generating anything at the end, and that's why it was a little disappointing. But like you said, and like he said, sometimes it just happens, right? You just stink.
Yeah.
They stunk.
Again, if it wasn't for the context of the Avs being 5-5, I almost wouldn't think twice about this game.
I know. It would have been so nice. Like he said, it's just one game. You got to be able to overcome that, the mental part of the 10-game segment. It's like, oh, that would have been so nice to be 6-4 after the disastrous start. But you look at it in the big picture, you're only a 2-point pace behind. So you can easily make it up.
Look, break it down in your 5-game segments. That's
right.
Yeah, your first one, you go 1-4. That's really bad. 4-1. If you go 4-1 in your next 5-game segment,
then
you feel great.
erased.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We're going to wrap it up here. We are off tomorrow, but we'll be back for the game Wednesday. Pre-game watch-along takeover, the usual. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. We do have one. Did I say takeover? I don't know. We're all tired here. The Avs have tired us all out. We do have one super chat to get to from WB for $5. Says, I am a goalie. Georgie out of position on the third goal and gave up a bad rebound as a result of not NHL quality. Second goal was barely beer league quality. I'm not saying you're wrong, buddy. I just can't keep making the same arguments about Georgiev.
I agree with what you're saying.
I've been saying it for 4 starts now, but at a certain point, you just can't keep playing the guy. It is what it is.
You can't keep playing.
We appreciate the super chat. We are done for the day. This has been the DNVR Avalanche postgame show brought to you by Bet365, and we will talk to you guys on Wednesday.
We all silly like the mayor.